Hey folks, on today's show it's all about bass. I'm going to start with flipping and pitching the mats for largemouth. Then we head out to deeper water in search of Lake Erie smallmouth, so stay tuned. Wow. That is a fish of a lifetime.
Go, boy.
Wow, that thing is a monster.
They fight hard, don't they?
Look at that magnificent fish.
Look at the size of that fish.
There he is again.
The color is incredible. Oh, there we go.
The Real Fishing Show with Bob Azumi.
Big old Great Lakes smallmouth. That is a big rainbow trout, Chris. Nice double header.
Whoa, nice jump.
Yeah, all right. That is a monster smallmouth. Man, that is so cool. Another one, there we go. The biggest pike I've ever caught. Look at that chunk. So that's what we're talking about.
Real Fishing is sponsored by Mercury, Go Boldly, Berkeley, Catch More Fish, and Abu Garcia for life.
On the Real Fishing Show, we make catching fish like this a possibility. Oh, get out of there. Get out of there, Mr. Fatty. Come on. All right. All right. Boat flip him. Yeah. Nice. That is just too cool. Look at that fat largemouth. You know, one of the things I'm going to admit, if I had to fish one way the rest of my life, it would be flipping and pitching for big buckets like this, big largemouth. I mean, they're just fatties. I mean, that's just a nice, solid, chunky largemouth. And what I like about it is the fact that it's really hand-to-hand combat with the fish. And you're fishing right in where they live. So you're going into the gnarliest cover. Of course, having the right equipment is nice. You know, this pretty cool here. This is like just a very small 3-inch bait called a chigger bug. And this bait here, it's like a 4/0 flipping fusion hook that I'm using here. 1 ounce ultra tungsten weight, so you got the heavy weight. And I'm Texas rigging this so that it's nice and weedless. And I'm pitching this and punching it right into the heavy cover, you know. And what I like about flipping and pitching for largemouth is it's short line fishing. So really, you know, it's hand-to-hand combat with the fish. And I just like flipping, pitching everything. Weed mats, reeds, lily pads, trees, all those types of things. And it's just so much fun getting into this thick stuff like this. And way up in the air, give it a little flick, get it right into those weed mats. Oh, I lost them. Whew. That fish hit as soon as it went through the mat. And I should have let him take it for a second. That's always the thing is, you know, you got to set on him hard and get him out of there. So I'm going to see if he'll hit again. Sometimes you flip back in an area. So I'm just going to give it a little squirt of gulp. Let's see if he'll hit again. I give it about a 50-50. He might have felt the hook in the metal. But with this close range, heavy cover fishing, you know, sometimes you're gonna lose them. Oh, come on out there. Come on out. Oh, yeah. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on, fatty. All right. All right. I'm just gonna use that heavy line and pull this fatty in. Nice. That's a nice one. Whoa. Look at that thing. That's a good largemouth. I mean, it's not a trophy, but I'll take a fish like this any day of the week. Little chigger bug, fat largemouth. Yeah, 3-pounder, you know, pretty decent. Respectable. 1 ounce ultra tungsten weight, heavy flipping gear. Folks, if you want to do some hunting for fish, flipping for big largemouth bass in the heavy cover, like I said earlier, is one of my favorite ways to catch them.
Coming up.
Cute little fish. On Erie, we call these cute. Alrighty, we've got Mr. Smallmouth on, and you know, it's pretty windy out here this evening on Lake Erie. It's October, got a fairly warm day, middle of October, and you know, the wind is out of the east-northeast. So the problem is that what's happening is the water's just a little bit murky. So I thought I'd throw a crankbait and just throw a good old lipless crankbait here, because when you get into a situation of, I'm just gonna spin that around, you know, murky water, these fish are real sight feeders here on Lake Erie. They use their eyesight, and it's usually gin clear out here. So when it gets a little bit milky, you know, you want something that's got a little bit of rattle and roll to it. And in this case, see you later, buddy. So I've got a lipless crankbait on a war pig. So I'm making super long casts with it and cranking it, covering the water. And I'm fishing just a long, shallow point here in about 10, where it goes from about 8 to 12 feet of water, and cranking it. And just in the last probably 10 minutes, I've had several fish on up to 4 pounds, and I thought, okay, well, there's some fish here, so here we are. We're just gonna take another pass over it, just blowing across here with the wind, and see if I can't catch a few more. But the whole key with this crankbait is it rattles, it's got vibration, it's got flash, and as a result, it attracts the fish in the water that's a little bit stirred up. Well, that was really cool. This fish hit when I stopped it, let it sink down, and I just pumped it a few times. And just pumped it. Now you can adjust your drag when you're fighting a fish like this, or just hit the free spool button. And if it runs, you just hit your free spool button and let them run a bit. Feels like it's hooked pretty good though, so let's see. Man, either it's a very feisty little one or decent size, I don't know. This fiberglass Fenwick cranking rod here, definitely, okay, it just thinks it's big. That's funny. I thought it was a much bigger fish, but see how he's hooked on the side there. A lot of times what'll happen is when they're hooked on the side, like so, they tend to fight a little harder. Cute little fish. On Erie, we call these cute. I don't want to bend too far over the water. I might go in. That's why I got, you know, my personal flotation device on. It is windy out here, but it's a warm day for middle of October, that's for sure. You know, one of the things with hard baits, like crankbaits, you know, whether you're using a lipped crankbait with a lip on the front or a lipless like this war pig that I'm using, is a lot of times, you know, you want to vary the retrieve on them. And The cool thing about this particular bait I'm using, you can use it on a steady retrieve and catch a lot of fish. Just cast it out and let that thing vibrate back to the boat. But a lot of times what I'll do too is to instigate strikes is I'll let this thing sink down. Usually sinks about a foot a second maybe or so. So I'll let it get down there, you know, 5, 8, 9, 10 feet in this situation. And then I'm just gonna vary the retrieve a little bit, see if I can't trigger some of these smallmouth to hit because, you know, the water is a little bit milky, so I want them to be able to home in on it and then hit it. Usually it's so clear out here, but we've had a lot of different winds lately, and all the different winds we've had have really milkied it up. I just want something that's flashy that they can really zoom in on and eat it. I'm just keeping an eye on my depth finder here. Just trying to hit a little bit of a depth change here. There's about a 2-foot depth change on this big shallow point that I'm on. Even though I'm offshore, probably a good mile offshore, it's really not that deep here. So whether they're visual points or points that you're gonna find on your mapping, like on Navionics, it's always good to hit points. Wow, this one hit on a real long cast. I cast out where it was just a little deeper, and this one just nailed it. I let the bait sink all the way to the bottom. Whoa! You gotta love it. Acrobatic smallmouth, sun's going down. The fish are biting. Usually you don't, you know, it's funny, low light as the sun goes down, usually you don't catch a lot of smallmouth on big water. Even in the summer and that, we don't catch a lot of smallmouth on the big water as the sun's going down, but it's been a pretty warm fall so far. Oh, that's a nice one. Okay. All right. Not an Erie giant by any means, but you know what? You always have to make the most out of situations, and a lot of folks say to me, Bob, do you always catch fish when you go out? Well, no, we have our days. We have our days where we go out and they don't bite, but you know, today got out for a few hours, did a little cranking, you know, with this Berkeley war pig, and caught some fatties, little fatties. That's not a big fish, but it's, you know, definitely not a baby, but definitely like fighting hard though. Good old cranking for smallies. I think I got time for a few more casts before the sun goes down.
Coming up.
Look how skinny that thing is. It's a long fish though.
Let's take a look down under with this week's Fish Eye View, sponsored by Mercury. Go boldly. The most rewarding way to catch anything is by fly fishing. Although we've promoted this over the years, the actual number of fly anglers is declining. Perhaps it's the misconception of being too difficult to learn. In reality, all anglers should add fly fishing to their repertoire. It's this simple. With the assistance of a department professional, purchase a balanced outfit and flail away. With a minimal selection of flies, you will catch fish. If you make mistakes, who cares? Keep casting. Starting with panfish, you'll see how much fun it really is. To learn more, take a few casting lessons. Check online for a fly fishing school in your area. These exist nearly everywhere in Canada and the US, and some are actually located on stocked ponds. And doesn't that sound like a great setup? Fact is, there are times when fly fishing is the only way to catch fish. Who hasn't been on the water, fish jumping all over the place, tried everything in the tackle box, and you can't turn a fish? They're feeding on bugs, something you simply can't tackle with a regular rod. That's when a well-placed fly will shine. Bottom line is, a fly rod is the ultimate finesse tool, as well as being a heck of a lot of fun.
Aha! Mr. Largemouth. All right. That's a nice color, largemouth. So I'm out here on Lake Erie at Long Point Bay. Nice skinny one, but look at the color of that thing. And I'm throwing one of the Freedom Tackle chatter baits. It's actually a new one that I've got a trailer as well on here called The Deal. And it's just a vibrating jig, which is pretty cool. And I'm casting it with a fairly fast retrieve for these largemouth. Look at how skinny that thing is. It's a long fish though, but yeah, it's definitely got length, but no girth. It hasn't been eaten as well as me. Okay, let's put this baby back in. Okay. So what happened is we got an east wind, and it's actually murkied up the water here at Long Point. And I'm way out fishing a sandbar here, and just some scattered weed. And one of the things is that, you know, the water's usually gin clear out here. You know, you can see down, I don't know, probably 10 feet, maybe even deeper. And I'm in like 7 feet of water here, and you can only see down about 2 feet. I can barely see this little weed strip that I'm fishing here, and pretty unusual. So I'm not sure, you know, the old saying about when the wind blows out of the east, the fish bite the least, or when the wind blows out of the west, the fish bite the best. And the prevailing winds are west-southwest out here on Lake Erie. So this east wind blowing in all this muddy water from several days of high winds we've had here have murkied it up. So not sure what to expect, but I thought, well, I'll add a little flash, cover the water with this you know, blade jig here that I got from my buddy over at Freedom. So let's see what happens. There we go. Aha. Whoa, baby. Thing's jumping all over the place. Come on in. So they will hit in this murky, off-colored water. You know, one thing is I've got a black flatworm on here, which is one of the Maxent flatworms. And in murky water, it's nice to have something that's got, you know, a silhouette down there where they can see it. Come on in, buddy. And this fish here was definitely, what I'm doing is drop shotting down there. I'd marked a fish, and so I'm just shaking it down there so that they, you know, just to sort of cause a little bit of a commotion so that the fish can see it. But that's a healthier looking one there. Let's see. It's got a full tail on it. Not a real big one, but a couple pounds. Not too bad. One of the things is that, you know, I'm using a couple of different drop shot weights, but this one here is actually an ultra tungsten. It's a cylinder tungsten drop shot weight. It's a good sinker because it doesn't snag up as much as a round one. Got a small #1 hook on as well. It's a Fusion 19, just a little drop shot hook. Well, I'm gonna get another flatworm out, just cruise around with the electric and see if I can't mark another fish.
Coming up.
It feels small, but it's actually real big. We're talking a Lake Erie perch. What have we got here? Feels small. Feels real small. Well, okay, it feels small, but it's actually real big. We're talking a Lake Erie perch. Mixed bag here in the muddy waters of Erie today, or tonight, I should say. That's a pretty good sized perch right there. That's incredibly good table fare. I mean, they're excellent eating. People love perch. They sell for a lot per pound, but this one, it's his lucky day because it's going back in where it came from. See you later, bud. And back down it goes. It's funny, I drifted over just some little wide bands of color on the bottom, so they must have been perched down there. There's another one right here. Here we go. What the hell? Oh, Mr. Smallmouth, get back in here. You know, well, kind of got some situation today. You know, I came out here on Lake Erie, and sort of my old stomping grounds, Long Point, you know, and it's a big, long, sandy point down here off, juts out into Lake Erie. It's about, I think it's about 22 miles long. And I thought I would, you know, come and see what the largemouth fishing was doing. Get in here. And the watercolor is literally about 5 times cloudier than normal. So I decided that, okay, I'd try for largemouth. Just got one, you know, throwing around a vibrating jig. Then I decided to come out a little deeper here where it drops off the sand. Look at the tail on that smallmouth. That's definitely seen better days. Wonder what the propulsion of that tail would be how the swimming is with that. But I'm using a little 4-inch black flatworm here. And I saw this fish on the graph and I dropped down to it. And I mean, that's a fat smallmouth, probably about a 3-pounder, but look at the tail on that. Thing is beat up on both sides, actually. I think I'm gonna put it back in though. That definitely, it deserves to be back in the water. So see you later, big buddy. Well, it slowly swam down like this. But you know, one of the things is that this is tough conditions. And you know, a lot of people say, do you always get shows every time you go out fishing? And I will say this is a challenge. It's 5 o'clock. I didn't get out here till like 3. And you know, this is the last day of September. So we've got pretty short days right now, and it'll be dark in less than 2 hours. But I thought I'd give it a shot. But you know, catch one largemouth and catch one smallmouth deep, you know, on the graph with a drop shot. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm gonna see if I can mark another smallmouth and catch it. But if not, I guess the old saying my dad used to say when he was around, he used to say, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Real Fishing was sponsored by Mercury, Go Boldly, Berkeley, Catch More Fish, and Abu Garcia for life.
Well, that thing's got some weight to it. The size of that puppy right there. That is just wild.
Man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Look at the size of that thing.